Welcome to the channel, I'm Sam the Ashen, and today I'm going to give you a little sneak peek into Remnant 2, the sequel to Remnant from the Ashes. This game releases on the 25th of July, but I got it on the 21st because I pre-ordered the Ultimate Edition. This video is not sponsored. With all that out of the way, let's get right into the video. Alright, so starting off, we have the character creator. It's nothing super in-depth, but it's a pretty solid character creator. You get to change the sex of the person, and then the face shape, voice type, and then after you're done with all that, you can pick a difficulty. Survivor, if you're kind of worried about how hard it'll be. I picked Veteran, and it's not that bad. You could also do Nightmare, and then you unlock Apocalypse by beating the game. So right off the bat, you're going to be in a little tutorial, which will show you the basics of the game and also give you a little intro into the story. There's also some traversal you're going to be doing, which is actually going to be useful for combat later because it gives you a little distance between you and the enemy, even though they can follow you. The game does have online multiplayer, and you can play with up to 3 people, which does help out if you're having any trouble, and there's actually a lot of bosses and level designs that are built around having multiple people. But if you're solo, don't worry. I've played through solo so far and haven't had any problems. It's still been great either way. So let's get into like the most important thing probably, which is shooting. Good news, the shooting feels fantastic. It feels really good. It's precise. There's good feedback, and I really like the weapon selection so far, as well as the weapon customization. On to another very important point, which is the bosses. This is just the intro boss. I don't want to spoil anything, but the bosses are pretty phenomenal. They're pretty awesome. I've only gotten through about 7 of them so far, but each one of them has been unique and satisfying and a good challenge, and I'm very impressed. Pretty early on, you'll see that you have a hub area to talk to all the merchants and upgrade your weapons, which is very nice. Kind of reminds me of the Nexus a little bit. It's also similar to Ward 13 from the first game. Also, you can pick an archetype. There's a lot of different ones. I think there's about 7. And I haven't tried all of them yet, but so far the handler is my favorite because you get a dog, which is pretty awesome. And the dog is actually really useful. It helps split aggro between you and the enemies, and if you're having any trouble or worried about the difficulty, this is the way to go. Another aspect we got to look at is the level design. I've been really impressed with the level design so far. There's either shortcuts that loop back around or paths that branch into a whole nother area, an optional area that has some loot and maybe even a unique boss at the end of it that you have the choice of pursuing, and you will be rewarded with some materials, new items, weapons, armor. Either way, your exploration is pretty much always rewarded, which is always a great quality for a game to have. Alright, so the first game was touted as Dark Souls with guns, so let's see if we can really call it a Souls-like. Yep, you can break the barrels, it's confirmed, it's a Souls-like. And you can get stuff out of the barrels. So just another reason that you might want to pick the handler archetype. Yeah, you can pet the dog, which is always a great thing to have. So the next point involves the story, which I'm not going to get too deep into because I don't want to get into any spoilers. But there are some choices you can make, and so far they've actually had some like decent consequences right off the bat. Like here, I chose not to listen to the Empress, and her guards did not like that. So I'm not going to tell you what happens afterwards, but I will say that your choices do mean something. Also with the dog, you can see here, it splits the aggro and it really takes care of some enemies. There's also a cover shooting mechanic, where if you're by a ledge, crouched or standing up, depending on how high it is, you can lean over and shoot, which helps provide cover. This is another example of the traversal. If you're running from enemies, you can hop over, and that'll put a little distance between you and whatever enemies are tailing you. I want to touch on the exploration a little bit more. This here is a side path that is totally optional that you wouldn't even find if you didn't explore the map. It's not on the main path. And it is a whole nother section to itself with a huge open place that has a lot of different enemy types and a boss at the very end that's unique. The environments are pretty gorgeous. Also here, the loading times I want to touch on. When you die, it's pretty instantaneous from death to respawning. The checkpoints are well placed, so that helps mitigate frustration. I'm not going to call it a gimmick because that seems like a bad thing, but some of the bosses have a unique mechanic that you have to like figure out in order to be effective against the boss. and that helps keep things interesting. Now here you can see just how beautiful the world is. You saw that throughout the video too, but the graphics are really nothing to scoff at. They are really gorgeous. So in the end, and I really don't say this lightly, I don't see this game getting any negative reviews really. If you're a fan of the shooting genre or the RPG genre or Souls-likes or anything related, there's a really good chance you're going to love this game. It's got great multiplayer, great solo experience, great customization, RPG, leveling system, level design, exploration, shooting, action. It's just great all-around game, and I really don't see any reason not to pick it up if you're at all interested. I appreciate you watching the video. I hope it was helpful and that you enjoyed it. If you did, consider leaving a like or a comment. That always helps out a lot. And if you want to see more from me, subscribing to the channel is a great way to do that. I hope I see you guys next time. Have a good one.